There are certain things powerful people instinctively keep to themselves, not because they're afraid, because discretion protects leverage. Most people learn this too late. The more you reveal about yourself, the easier you are to read. And the easier you are to read, the easier you are to influence, derail, or quietly weaken. Machiavelli hinted at this centuries ago when he observed that people judge what they see, but rarely understand what's really happening beneath the surface. That wasn't philosophy, it was a survival note. The mistake most people make isn't trusting the wrong person. It's assuming information is neutral. It isn't. Every detail you share becomes context someone else can interpret, store, or repurpose later, sometimes without malice, sometimes without you ever knowing. So instead of framing this as secrecy or paranoia, think of it as selective visibility. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 things that are better kept private. They don't look dangerous. They don't feel risky. But once exposed, they quietly reduce your control. If you stay with me, you'll start noticing how often people give away power without realizing it, and how easily that can be avoided with a few small shifts. Let's get into it. 1. Your next move. Most people announce their plans because they think sharing creates momentum. In reality, it creates friction. The moment your intentions become public, they stop being yours alone. They live inside other people's opinions, fears, and projections. Sometimes that comes disguised as support, other times as concern. Either way, momentum leaks. Here's what usually happens. You mention a goal, a new direction, a decision you're excited about. The response sounds reasonable on the surface. Are you sure? Is this the right time? That seems risky. They're not always trying to stop you, but their hesitation plants weight in your mind that wasn't there before. And once doubt enters early, progress slows. Not because your plan was weak, but because it became crowded. People don't need to oppose your growth directly to interfere with it. Sometimes all it takes is making you second-guess yourself long enough to miss the moment. That's why experienced operators move quietly. They don't explain what they're building. They let the outcome speak. There's a reason finished results earn respect, while unfinished ideas invite debate. When people see the move after it's executed, they adapt. When they see it before, they interfere. Silence doesn't mean isolation. It means timing. Think about it this way. Why invite commentary from people who have no stake in the outcome or no proof they understand the terrain? Execution doesn't need applause. It needs space. And once something is real, once it exists, no one can talk you out of it. If this feels familiar, you already know why it matters. You don't need permission to evolve. You don't need validation to act. Move quietly. Let results create the noise. If this point landed, drop this in the comments. I move with intention. Now let's go deeper, because the next thing people give away is far more dangerous than plans. 2. Your weaknesses. The moment the wrong person understands where you're vulnerable, the dynamic shifts. You might think you're being open. They're learning your pressure points. Most people don't misuse that information immediately. They store it. And when circumstances change, arguments, competition, resentment, that stored knowledge suddenly becomes leverage. You've seen this before. Something you shared in a low moment reappears later as a joke, a comment, or a strategic jab. Not because people forgot, but because they remembered. That's why emotional exposure should always follow mastery, not precede it. What you haven't resolved internally doesn't belong in public circulation. This doesn't mean suppressing pain. It means choosing where growth happens. Strength built in private lasts longer than sympathy collected in public. The men who are hardest to destabilize aren't the ones without wounds. They're the ones who don't advertise them. Because once someone knows exactly where to hit, restraint becomes optional. Keep watching. You're already noticing the patterns. And that matters. Because what comes next is where reputations start to fracture quietly without anyone knowing why. 3. Your income. As your financial position improves, your need to explain yourself should decrease. There's a reason people with long-standing wealth rarely talk about money, not because they're hiding, but because they understand what attention does. The moment you attach numbers to your name, people stop engaging with you. They engage with what they think you represent. Comparison starts quietly. Then expectations. Then entitlement. Money doesn't just upgrade your lifestyle. It reframes how people position themselves around you. Some become curious. Some become competitive. Some begin calculating. None of that works in your favor. When people know what you earn, they don't just adjust their perception. They adjust their behavior. They decide what you should be able to afford, what you should help with, what you should tolerate. And if you don't meet those unspoken expectations, the story flips. You didn't change. Their assumptions did. This is why discretion matters. Silence isn't secrecy, it's insulation. When people don't know what you have, they can't assign you a role. They can't predict your limits. They can't quietly position you as a resource. Mystery forces respect because it denies access. And access is what most people are actually after. Think about it. The loud display of money invites opinions. The quiet possession of it invites caution. Real leverage lives in what others can't fully measure. You don't need to prove comfort. You don't need to justify progress. You don't need to explain your standards. Let people guess. Underestimation is one of the most useful positions you can occupy because no one prepares for what they can't see clearly. The moment income becomes a topic, dynamics shift. Friends begin testing boundaries. Requests arrive disguised as ideas. Support quietly becomes expectation. And when you say no, even once, you're reframed. Not because you became selfish, but because someone's imagined access collapsed. This isn't about refusing generosity. It's about timing. While you're building, clarity matters more than approval. You protect momentum first, then you choose where to extend help later. Now ask yourself honestly, who knows what you make? And what did that knowledge really add to your life? Peace or pressure? Most people already know the answer. Here's a familiar scenario. You mention a strong year. People congratulate you. Then the tone shifts. You must be doing really well now. Maybe you could help with something. You're in a different position than me. Suddenly, money isn't just money. It's influence, wanted or resented. And this doesn't stop with friends. In relationships, income often becomes a silent scoreboard. If they believe you earn more, it can create dependency or competition. In families, it creates obligation. You become the solution, the safety net, the one who made it. Say yes too often, and you slow yourself down. Say no once, and you're accused of forgetting your roots. This is why restraint isn't cruelty. It's sustainability. Protect what you're still building. 4. Your relationship conflicts. Nothing drains authority faster than making private instability public. You see it all the time. Subtle posts, vague captions, emotional updates disguised as honesty. They feel harmless. They aren't. The moment relationship tension becomes public knowledge, the frame shifts. People stop seeing a composed individual. They see volatility. And once cracks are visible, respect doesn't increase, it pauses. When you share conflict in the heat of emotion, you think you're seeking support. What you're actually doing is releasing context you can't control later. Details linger. Words get repeated. Judgments form quietly. And when the relationship stabilizes or ends, those impressions remain. Your personal life becomes commentary. The truth is simple. No one outside the situation needs a map of your emotional terrain. Once conflict is public, it stops being yours. it becomes material, and material gets discussed, reframed, and used. What feels like vulnerability to you often reads as instability to others, especially in professional or social environments. People don't say it out loud, but they notice patterns. They question focus. They adjust expectations. This doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing containment over exposure. If something is sacred, it deserves protection. If it's broken, it deserves resolution, not an audience. There's a difference between seeking guidance and broadcasting emotion. The right place for help is upward, to someone with perspective, experience, and discretion, not sideways, to people who process everything emotionally and repeat it socially. Here's the quiet rule. What you expose emotionally can always be reinterpreted strategically, not always with malice, but always with consequence. People remember what you reveal when you're unstable, and those memories shape how they treat you long after the moment has passed. Now flip the dynamic. You keep conflict private. You show up steady. You speak clearly. You don't narrate chaos. What happens? People assume control. They assume maturity. They assume strength. Even if your life is complex behind the scenes, your composure becomes the story, and that story protects you. Narratives are powerful. Either you manage them quietly, or others do it for you. And that brings us to the next point, because this is where most people give away authority without realizing it. 5. Your family problems. Many people believe sharing family struggles makes them authentic. They think openness invites understanding. In practice, it usually invites judgment. Most people don't know what to do with someone else's family pain, so they turn it into a story. And stories travel. When you speak openly about dysfunction at home, you may feel relieved in the moment. But what you're really doing is giving others a frame through which they interpret you. People don't separate the chaos from the individual. They connect the two. Sympathy often comes first, then quiet conclusions. Not because people are cruel, but because they're human. Once a narrative forms, it sticks, and it rarely works in your favor. What feels like vulnerability to you often reads as instability to others, especially in environments where perception matters. Workplaces, social circles, leadership contexts. You don't hear the judgments, but you feel the consequences. Opportunities pass. Responsibility goes elsewhere. Trust becomes conditional. Your personal history becomes a lens others use to assess your future reliability. This is why discretion matters. Your emotional scars are not shameful, but they are not communal property either. Stoic thinkers understood this well. They believed healing was internal work, not a public display. You don't deny your past. You simply refuse to let it define you in rooms where it doesn't belong. Consider how information actually moves. What's shared in confidence becomes shared as concern. Concern becomes commentary. Commentary becomes reputation. And reputation, fair or not, shapes how you're treated. When you succeed, people revisit your background to explain it away. When you stumble, they cite it as evidence. Either way, control leaves your hands. This doesn't mean pretending nothing hurt you. It means choosing where and with whom healing happens. Growth happens in private. Strength is what shows in public. Your story is still being written. Don't let strangers decide the chapter titles. 6. Your long-term vision. This one is subtle, and it destroys more progress than failure ever could. Long-term goals feel powerful to talk about. They sound impressive. They invite applause. And that's exactly why they're dangerous. The moment you speak a vision out loud, something shifts internally. Your brain registers approval as progress. It can't tell the difference between being praised and being finished. That's why so many people stay stuck while sounding ambitious. They talk, They receive encouragement. They feel momentarily accomplished. Then nothing happens. Your deepest vision, the future you're quietly building toward, needs protection, not exposure. Not because it's fragile, but because it's unfinished. When others know what you're aiming for, two things happen. Some project their limitations onto it. Others feel threatened by it. Neither response helps you. Support often lasts only until growth becomes uncomfortable. People want you to improve, just not past them. That's when questions start sounding like advice. Doubt disguises itself as realism, and your clarity slowly erodes. Even well-meaning feedback can dilute a vision before it ever has a chance to harden. So you keep it contained, not hidden out of fear, but guarded out of respect for the process. Silence gives you freedom. Freedom to adapt. Freedom to change course. Freedom to move without resistance. And there's another advantage few people notice. When you don't announce direction, you avoid premature pressure. No expectations to perform. No audience waiting for updates. No need to explain delays. You move faster because nothing is weighing on you. Results arrive quietly, and when they do, they speak for themselves. This is how mystery works. When people don't know what you're building, they can't interfere. They can't prepare for you. They can't position themselves against you. And when success appears, it feels sudden, almost unsettling. That reaction is power. Ambition doesn't need witnesses. It needs execution. So keep the blueprint private. Let the work speak later. Because the strongest position isn't being admired for what you plan to do. It's being respected for what you've already done, without explanation. 7. Your deepest regrets. There's a common belief that sharing regret is a form of honesty, that admitting failure makes you relatable. Sometimes it does, but more often, it quietly changes how people position you in their minds. Most people don't know how to hold someone else's past without reshaping it. They remember it, they store it, and later, often without malice, they reference it when circumstances shift, not because they plan to, but because the information is there. Once a regret is revealed, it never stays in the past. It becomes part of how you're interpreted, even years later, especially if you grow faster than expected, or start setting boundaries, or no longer fit the role they were comfortable with. That's when old stories resurface, not to understand you, but to anchor you to who you used to be. This is why regret is dangerous when shared casually. It freezes a moment of weakness into a permanent reference point. People don't see growth as clearly as they remember failure, and they rarely update their internal picture once it's formed. So discretion matters. Confession feels relieving, but relief is temporary. The consequences often last much longer. There are places where reflection belongs, private ones, quiet ones. A journal, solitude, prayer, deep personal work. Not every environment deserves access to your internal history. Because here's something uncomfortable but true. Your past will always be more interesting to others than your future. Not out of cruelty, but curiosity. And curiosity doesn't always work in your favor. Once someone knows where you fell, they subconsciously mark the spot, even if you've moved far beyond it. So instead of explaining your past, let your present speak. Let discipline replace confession. Let consistency replace storytelling. Your regrets can shape how you move, without ever becoming something you defend. Think of it this way. When you share failure, you're asking others to see past it. When you remain silent and stable, you remove the need for explanation entirely. Silence doesn't deny growth. It confirms it. There's also a quieter danger here, one most people overlook. The urge to confess often comes from wanting to feel lighter, to be understood, to be met with empathy. That desire is human. But strength isn't found in being understood by everyone. It's found in no longer needing to be. When something is truly integrated, it no longer needs narration. The past stops asking for attention once it's been mastered. That's freedom. Not the freedom to say everything, but the freedom to say nothing, because nothing is unresolved. Over time, something interesting happens. When people don't know your regrets, they stop searching for leverage. They stop anchoring you to who you were. They respond only to who you are now. And that version of you, steady, measured, forward-moving, is far harder to undermine. So carry your past quietly, not with shame, with ownership. Let it inform your decisions, sharpen your boundaries, deepen your discipline. But don't turn it into a story others can repeat, because silence doesn't erase regret, it transforms it. And when your future becomes undeniable, your past loses its power without ever being explained.